All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Week number 8. We got Monday Night Football. Could be a messy one. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the New York Giants. In today's video, I'm going to dive into this game. I'm going to give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total. Got a couple player prop spots that I'm looking at as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment of this video. That is where all of my final plays, if you do want to fade me, all of my final plays will live down in the pinned comment for free. Now, before we do dive into this one, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Appreciate the hell out of everyone that has been running up the likes and commenting and subscribing as of late. Truly do appreciate. So let's keep that train going. Hit that like button and subscribe if you are new. Let's go ahead and dive into this game. Right now, we're looking at a Steelers team that is at home, 5.5 point favorites. I've seen this bounce back and forth in about the last couple hours between 5.5 and 6, which can be, I guess, kind of crucial if you are betting on the Steelers side. We'll get into our play in just a second. But again, if you do like the Steelers, try to get the best odds out there. I feel like that should be self-explanatory, but I'll say it anyways. The total is sitting here at 36.5. I've seen some 36s out there. So likewise, if you're taking this total, try and get the best line you can and the best odds you can as well. But overall, this is a Steelers team 5-2 so far this season, 5-2 against the spread. At home, they're 2-1, going up against a Giants team that has definitely had a struggle-worthy season here. 2-5 straight up, 2-4-1 against the spread. On the road, though, 2-1, so they are a positive team on the road. I will say they beat Cleveland. That's, an easy feat, I guess, in a sense. And then they beat Seattle, but I would argue that was the game that Seattle turned the ball over, had the blocked field goal at the end. Like, there was a lot that Seattle did to lose that game versus the Giants winning it, but that was a few weeks ago. We don't need to dive into that. Before we kind of give our play on this game, I want to call out, I guess, the biggest thing and piece of information that is making me choose a side here and making up my mind. It's going to be the Steelers defense. You could see they're the 10th ranked defensive DVOA team, 12th against the pass, 3rd against the run. The Giants have obviously struggled offensively all season long. The only real good offensive game they had was that Seattle game, like I mentioned, and even still, 6 points were, as time expired on that blocked field goal to send the game to overtime. It's not exactly like they've been gelling all year long. They've had injuries, all that type of stuff. But overall, I just don't see much in any way that the Giants truly do move the ball. So yeah, I'm leaning Steelers just solely because of that defense. We look at the last few games here, and by the way, guys, this is the NFL dashboard that we create for channel members. If you guys want to become a channel member, there should be a join button right on YouTube. There'll be a link in the description. I'll also put a link in the pinned comment. $2.99 per month. You get our MLB dashboard you can use for the remainder of the World Series. You get this NFL dashboard, which essentially goes game by game, giving you all of the key stats for season, home and away, last 3 games. You could see their hit rates. You could see their starting offensive personnel with their injuries, as well as DVOA rankings and honestly defense versus position, which is actually huge when looking at player props, right? But overall, guys, become a channel member, $2.99 a month. We're pretty close to rolling out our NBA sheet as well, which is going to be really cool. But this dashboard, you could see the defensive side of things for Pittsburgh lights up green. The offensive side for the Giants lights up red. Their away offense looks okay, but again, I'm trying to put into context of, well, they beat the Browns while the Browns stunk, and the Browns still do stink, even though they're playing well as we record this against Baltimore, and then that game against Seattle. So I don't really want to put too much weight into it. You look on the season, in the last 3 games, they've struggled offensively, whereas Pittsburgh has just been consistent, whether they're home, away, last 3 full season, they've been really consistent when it comes to defensive play. So I am leaning Steelers minus the points in this one. Do we get there? I'm not exactly sure, because that is a lot of points to lay. Now, maybe the Steelers offense is going to turn a corner because, we looked at DVOA rankings, but we focus on their defense. They're still just a 19th ranked offense, 24th in run, 16th, the middle of the pack, right, in passing. So not all that great, but we see Russell Wilson as the quarterback now. He threw for 264 and 2 tutties against the Jets a week ago. They scored 37 points. They routed that New York Jets team 37-15. So maybe Russell Wilson at the helm is going to help this team be a little bit better offensively, because during this year, like, the Steelers did struggle and have struggled to be consistent on the offensive side of the ball, but now 2 straight weeks against the Raiders, they dropped 32 points. That was Fields. With Russell Wilson, they dropped 37 against what I would consider a more viable defense in the Jets. So maybe the Steelers are going to get things going, but I'm saying all this to say that I do lean Steelers minus the 5.5 points, maybe even buy it to 6.5 to just keep it within a touchdown, but you might get plus money. But at the same time, it's a decent amount for an offense that can and has struggled at times, right? If we look at the Giants defense, they've been good against the pass the last few weeks, third fewest passing yards per game, but the rushing, the fourth most allowed. So maybe Najee Harris and Warren, that type of thing, can kind of get things going, which they really haven't had the best of luck this season. The Steelers so far, in terms of what they've done on the ground, they're controlling the game, they have momentum, but it's all been defensive. They're still just kind of like a mad rushing offense, I would say. Last 3 weeks here, kind of just middle of the pack. Now, luckily they do have 2 dogs, and they did just have a huge game recently, so these numbers get a little bit inflated, but I'm still not totally sold on the run game, and we've only seen 1 game of Russell Wilson. So again, it's a big number. I lean it because of the defense, but the thing that may keep me off of it is the fact that we don't see much consistency out of the offense so far this year. In terms of a total, it's 36.5. I'm going to lean towards the under in this one. Obviously, I've ragged all over the Giants offense. I believe in that. Their defense does show up sometimes. They do get to the quarterback, so maybe they have some defensive performance to pull out of the magic trick out of the hat type of thing. And we know we're going to get defense out of the Steelers, and I don't really think Daniel Jones, even Singletary back, I don't think that that's going to be a whole recipe to beat the Steelers team. We just saw Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson. These guys had struggles against the Steelers defense. I don't have any problems with Daniel Jones, Devin Singletary, Malik Neighbors, Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson. I really don't see them moving the ball that well. So I'll lean towards the under at 36.5. That definitely is a low number, especially with the way that we've at least seen the Steelers 2 weeks in a row now score. So maybe we stick away from that one. I'd much rather, take the Steelers on the spread than the total. But I have 2 player props that I'm liking potentially more than anything else in this game. So let's go ahead and dive into those. But speaking of player props, guys, go check out Underdog. They have a Russell Wilson free square, 0.5 total yards for this game. You're also going to get up to $1,000 in a bonus cash when depositing, up to $1,000, like I said, in bonus cash, which is absolutely crazy. If you don't know what Underdog is, it's really, really cool. Think player props. You create entries. The more you win, the more you get paid out. You can get paid out up to 1,000 times over there. It's a no-brainer if you haven't signed up. You're literally going to get a free square. Go pair something with it. You can deposit, get up to $1,000 in your account as well. Absolute no-brainer. That link is in the pinned comment as well as the description. Go ahead and check out Underdog, guys. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive into the player props that I'm considering here. So we'll start it off with Russell Wilson. I don't mind the idea of him having over 18.5 pass completions. Now, last week he didn't hit it against the Jets, but they crushed him. They didn't necessarily need it, right? And you could see New York's passing defense, they get to the quarterback decently, right? If we flip this over, you could see in terms of sacks, first in the league, tied for 4th in QB hits. I understand that. And the Steelers might be down. Actually, I think he's already been ruled out. Frazier, the center. So that's all taken into account here. I get it. So if that kind of turns you off, fine. But what I will say is that they're playing soft defense. Yes, passing attempts against is down, but that's because a lot of teams have been beating them. When you look at pass completion percentage against, only 2 teams worse than them. Quarterbacks are passing 71% completions against them. So I like him to go and have 19 completions in this spot. Now, again, if they roll, do they rely on the run game that started to look a little bit better? Potentially, but this is still only Russell Wilson's second game. I don't blame them, or I can see them trying to get him more and more involved, get some dump off passes and that type of thing. So I like Russell Wilson over 18.5 pass completions here. His pass attempts is at 28.5. He did hit this in that game against the Jets. I'd consider that as well. Maybe we could look at like a half unit on each or a quarter unit on each or something like that. The next one, and this one I do like, we have 2 plays that we may be rolling with on George Pickens. Like I keep telling you guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment, okay? But George Pickens over 4.5 receptions, -114 over on FanDuel. He had 5 receptions last week. That was in Russell Wilson's first game with him, right? He got 9 targets, caught only 56% of them. So if he gets up there and catches a little bit more, then I really think that we should see Pickens be able to snag 5. This seems like it could be a first half line to me. Now, we look at last year, right? He was getting targets galore, 6.5 targets per game, catching nearly 60 of them. If he returns to form, now he's been kind of cold, we could see this, and he's still cashed it more than he hasn't this season, 57% of games. At home this year, he's cashed it in 2 of the 3 games, so I do like George Pickens in this spot. We know that the Giants can pressure and get to the quarterback. If we say a team's going to go and pressure decently, he's hit it, like, let's say 20, I don't know, maybe 25-ish% of the time. He's hit it in 2 of the 4 games, 7.8 targets, catching the ball 4.3 times, but still only at a 50% catch rate. I like him to be up towards 60 because of that completion completion percentage against we looked at with Russell Wilson, right? All right, let's clear these filters. By the way, another thing to plug here, guys, this is Outlier, my favorite player prop research tool. You want 7 days free? I'll put a link in the pinned comment as well. You guys are getting deals galore in the pinned comment. I'm also going to take a peek at him to score a touchdown here, plus 200 on FanDuel. Look at where this is elsewhere, plus 155, plus 145 over on Caesars and DraftKings, plus 200 on FanDuel seems like some decent value. He gets 1 touchdown catch last week, but his red zone target share is great. He's getting 41% of the red zone targets, which is blowing everyone out of the water. So his target percentage normally is 30%. We love that, right, for the receptions and whatnot. Red zone targets nearly 42%. I said 41. He has 10 red zone targets compared to Van Jefferson and Pat Freiermuth, who are in second, tied for second here with 4. So I like this spot. We saw it last week, 3 red zone targets. He reeled one in for a touchdown for plus 200 odds. I love it. I do like it at plus 145, plus 155 as well, but we're seeing some serious value over on FanDuel there. So again, Russell Wilson completions / attempts. Again, the Bible, the thing you got to look at is the pinned comment for all of our final plays, so we roll with ourselves. But also George Pickens receptions and touchdowns. I'm sure some way, shape, or form we'll get those guys involved down in the pinned comment. But guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's show. Just to kind of recap, I just talked about the player props, but in terms of a spread pick, I have to trust the Steelers defense and what they've done offensively as of late. I lean them minus the 5.5 points, potentially buying my way up to 6.5 to get better odds, and then the total sitting at 36.5. I'm going to lean under. It's super low, so I probably don't pull the trigger on it. I don't like it as much as the spread, but I really can't convince myself of the over here. And then player props, we got the 2 Russell Wilsons for completions and attempts, and then George Pickens receptions as well as touchdowns. You might be asking why I don't like George Pickens at 61.5. I think it's really inflated after an 111-yard performance against the Jets. 4 catches, he could have 4 catches for 50 yards, and he doesn't even come close to his over, but 1 more catch, for 5 yards, he gets to 55, still not close to his over in receptions, but then he's over in receiving yards, but then cashes the reception. So I think it's a little bit safer, and we're getting better odds. It's minus 120 for that 61.5 right now for his receiving yards. So that's kind of my reasoning and rationale there. But guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment 12 if you made it this far into the video, to the very end of the video. Love you for doing that. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.